When you hear mass migration, a tsunami of refugees, exodus, and unwelcome words or phrases, these are the overcooked crisis narrative used to describe the current state of immigration. Nevertheless, you will be shocked to know that the notion of illegal immigration is just a myth. Most often, these immigration stories are portrayed by politicians as strategies to manipulate public opinion and further their agendas. They frame immigration as a crisis or threat and stoke fear among the populace, which in turn allows them to push through harsher immigration policies or gain support for their political platforms. This tactic not only distracts from more pressing issues, but also serves to demonize immigrants, painting them as invaders or criminals, rather than individuals seeking safety or better opportunities. Did you know that the popular narrative about illegal immigration is nothing but a perpetuated myth to orchestrate a sense of urgency and chaos? Politicians often depict illegal immigration as an uncontrollable influx of criminals and economic burdens. Using the narrative of job loss, cultural dilution, and threats to national security as emotional baits for people. For instance, the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi in 2010 asserted that Europe could face extinction due to millions of Africans seeking migration. So, for that reason, he proposed an annual payment of $6.3 billion to Libya to curb illegal immigration and prevent a perceived Black Europe. Similarly, in 2020, Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei diplomatically used long-existing hunger, poverty, and destruction as his valid reasons to end immigration. On that note, he proposed the construction of walls of prosperity in Central America. Yes, you heard right. He said the wall was to prevent mass migration to countries with higher living standards. These are just a few of the many orchestrated strategies by world leaders to hinder people's right to migration. The truth is that all these narratives and so-called strategies are to distract the public from discovering the underlying systemic issues and the failures in immigration policy. In fact, they even added the idea of criminalizing both regular and irregular immigrants as a cover-up for their corrupt system of government. That isn't all. Media platforms, including social media, are also paid to hyperbolize how illegal migration is skyrocketing, even though the migration remains stable. However, these claims are not supported by factual evidence and are often used to fuel fear and division among the public. In a nuanced examination of migration laws and misconceptions, it's crucial to understand that crossing borders irregularly or staying in a country without proper documentation is not classified as a crime. Rather, criminalizing migration not only fails to deter irregular status, but also leads to numerous human rights violations. Contrary to popular belief, the vast majority of immigrants are not only hard-working individuals seeking better opportunities for themselves and their families, but they also abide by the law. Most international migrants actually cross borders legally, equipped with a passport and visa. Despite this reality, the media often amplifies the narrative of illegal migration, magnifying its perceived scale and significance. Dispelling further misconceptions, it's essential to recognize that the majority of Latin American migrants to the US or African migrants to Europe engage in legal crossings. Astonishingly, around 9 out of 10 Africans who migrate to Europe do so through legal channels. However, these lawful border crossings, occurring at airports and official entry points, seldom make headlines compared to illegal migrations. Despite media and political rhetoric suggesting an escalation in illegal migration, empirical evidence fails to support such claims. Fluctuations in migration patterns are influenced by factors like job opportunities in destination countries and conflicts in migrants' countries of origin. You might be surprised to hear this, but illegal migration is not increasing. For instance, the undocumented migrant population in the US has shown relative stability over the last 2 decades, following a sharp rise from 1990 to 2005, reaching around 11 million. Although some have returned or gained legal status, new illegal border crossers and individuals with expired visas have emerged, maintaining overall numbers relatively constant. Also, when there's a spike in illegal migration, people tend to panic and think there's going to be a huge invasion of migrants. But these spikes are usually temporary, caused by things like more job openings in destination countries or more violence in migrants' home countries. Sometimes, the number of border crossings goes up in certain seasons, like springtime. Because the media mostly focus on increases and don't talk much about decreases, it can make it seem like illegal migration is getting out of control, even though it's usually not the case. However, addressing these challenges requires a clear understanding of the true nature, scope, and underlying causes of the phenomenon. Contrary to the political fear-mongering that depicts immigration as an increasingly uncontrollable deluge threatening to overwhelm the affluent West, the reality is quite different. One prevalent misconception is the belief that illegal immigrants pose a significant threat to national security. However, empirical research suggests otherwise. According to a study published in the American Sociological Review, crime rates among undocumented immigrants are lower than those of native-born citizens. Contrary to popular belief, immigrants, regardless of legal status, are less likely to commit crimes than their native-born counterparts. Furthermore, research conducted by the Cato Institute found that immigrants, including undocumented individuals, are less likely to be incarcerated than native-born Americans. These findings undermine the narrative that illegal immigration leads to rampant criminality, highlighting the need for a more evidence-based approach to the issue. Another misconception is that illegal immigrants strain public resources and contribute to economic hardship. While it is true that undocumented immigrants utilize certain public services, such as education and healthcare, studies indicate that they also contribute significantly to the economy. Moreover, analyses from organizations like the Center for American Progress have shown that comprehensive immigration reform, including pathways to legal status for undocumented immigrants, could generate billions of dollars in additional tax revenue and economic output. Furthermore, the misconception that illegal immigrants take jobs away from native-born workers is not supported by empirical evidence. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research indicates that immigrants, including those without legal status, complement rather than compete with native-born workers. Immigration is not something that happens to us, but is chosen by governments to answer the demand for labor. Illegal migration exists because the demand for labor cannot be satisfied through legal migration only. By occupying different segments of the labor market and often performing jobs that native-born workers are unwilling or unable to do, immigrants help to fill labor shortages and drive productivity growth. Additionally, studies have shown that immigration, both legal and illegal, has a negligible effect on overall wages for native-born workers. First, there is no empirical evidence supporting the notion that immigration is spiraling out of control. While Western societies have indeed witnessed higher levels of immigration and settlement than anticipated decades ago, the bulk of this increase stems from legal migration, primarily driven by labor demands. Although some migration has gone underground due to limitations in legal channels, the scale of illegal migration is not as substantial as commonly believed. Moreover, it's crucial to recognize that immigration isn't a passive occurrence, but rather a consequence of deliberate choices made by governments and businesses to recruit migrant workers, despite portraying these foreign workers as unwanted. This acknowledgement reframes the discourse, highlighting that both legal and illegal immigration serve significant economic purposes, contrasting starkly with the bellicose rhetoric surrounding curbing illegal migration and combating smuggling. Overall, illegal immigration bears no resemblance to a foreign invasion in either its nature or scale. Immigrants and refugees arrive without military aggression, seeking refuge or opportunities, not conquest. So, there is no need for panic. Now, you are aware that the notion of invasion is a fabrication perpetrated by politicians for their agendas. Most often, politicians exploit these fears to bolster their authority, presenting themselves as defenders against foreign adversaries, whether by combating illegal immigration, smugglers, or human traffickers. By succumbing to these fear-mongering tactics, we risk overlooking the human aspect of immigration and the valuable contributions that migrants make to our societies. Instead of vilifying immigrants and portraying them as invaders, we should strive for compassionate and evidence-based policies that address the root causes of migration while upholding human rights and dignity. Also, remember that immigrants are not stealing people's jobs as painted by the media. Instead, they are invited to fill essential roles in various sectors, often addressing shortages in the labour market and contributing to economic growth and cultural diversity. Ultimately, overcoming the myth of invasion requires a concerted effort to promote understanding, empathy, and solidarity across borders. By rejecting divisive rhetoric and embracing inclusivity and cooperation, we can build a more equitable and harmonious world for all. Before you leave, make sure you share your thoughts in the comment section. For more information, check out the description for references to the research articles and policy reports. Take care and see you the next time.